In 1992, you had George Herbert Walker Bush running for re-election versus Bill Clinton running on the Democratic side for election. And then there was this third guy, this weird guy with big ears, this cranky billionaire from Texas by the name of Ross Perot, who decided to jump into the race. He created his own political party and jumped into the race in this party that he himself bought and paid for. And his one issue was no to free trade. We need managed trade. We need regulated trade. We need trade that works to the advantage of Americans rather than the rest of the world. That's the kind of trade we need. That's what Ross Perot said. He won almost 20% of the vote in 1992 for president. So I was fascinated this morning when on the Mika Brzezinski's show, I heard that, and I think this was just in New York State. I could be wrong. Or maybe it was in New Hampshire. It was one of the states. There was just a new poll that was done. And Jeb Bush was number one. Number two was Donald Trump with 11% of the Republican vote. And they were sitting there going, how can it be? How can Donald Trump get 11% of the vote? And the theory that was being floated by the pundits on the program where it was, oh, well, he's an outsider and people are fond of outsiders. You know, kind of this is a populist moment. I don't think so. I think the reason that Donald Trump has gone to 11%, and one of the reasons why Bernie Sanders is just climbing in the polls, is because of his position on trade. Even Democrats can watch that and go, huh, maybe I could vote for that guy. I mean, until they hear his other crazy positions. But I think that this is a moment. This is a populist moment, a Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders moment, for lack of a better phrase. It happens every 80 years in America that we have basically a political reboot, and it's typically the consequence of an economic crisis. This last one being the crash of 2008, and everybody knows that it ain't over yet. I mean, they may not believe the title of my book, The Crash of 2016, but they know it ain't over yet. And 80 years before that, it was the crash of 1929, and that led to FDR. 80 years before that, it was the crash of 1857, which led right to the Civil War. 80 years before that, it was the great crash of 1770, which led to the Tea Act. I mean, this is a crash that affected England as well as us, mostly England, in fact. Led to the Tea Act, which led to the Boston Tea Party, which was the beginning of the open rebellion in the United States. These were all incredibly populist moments. So as on the one hand, our nation is coming together across races increasingly, and we're starting to say no to the explicit symbols of savagery and you know, concentration camps, slavery, hatred, all that kind of stuff on the one hand. On the other hand, or not on the other hand, but at the same time, America is realizing that, you know, we've basically, since the election of Reagan, been screwed. That every one of these trade deals has hurt us. We now have an $11 trillion trade deficit. That's $35,000 for every man, woman, and child in the United States. And unlike our national debt, where we owe that money by and large to ourselves, our trade deficit is 100% owed to other countries. $11 trillion. $500 billion a year we add to it. We're adding over $1 billion a day, some days $2 billion, to our trade deficit. And every $1 billion is another few thousand jobs gone from the United States. So this is a very interesting moment. And the question is, in my mind, is will the establishment get it? Will they wake up and start speaking to the people in an honest voice? Certainly with regard to trade, that's not what's coming out of this administration. Is that going to come out of the Clinton campaign? We'll see. I hope so. But it's certainly coming out of Bernie Sanders, and increasingly, maybe, I don't know, Martin O'Malley, what's his name? Who's the, Lincoln Chafee, yeah, the former Republican. Not hearing much about him. Is it going to come out of them? I'm telling you, that Ross Perot moment is still alive and well in the United States. Any candidate who runs on ending these insane trade deals is going to have a really, really good shot, whether it's Donald Trump in the Republican Party or whether it's Bernie Sanders in the Democratic Party. And I hate to put those two together in the sentence because Donald Trump is nuts and Bernie Sanders is a statesman. But there you go.